Welcome to the March edition of the Lion Lowdown.
My name is Sharon Burns. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing for Lansing USD 469, and I'm here with Superintendent Dan Wessel.
This month we'll be talking about state testing, an update on our strategic planning, an overview of our transportation department and some of the services that we provide, admin interviews that have been going on across our district, and lastly, our favorite part, the shout-outs.
Yes. So state testing started this week for grades 3 through 11 and will continue for the next several weeks. We want to remind our parents to make sure their students are eating a healthy breakfast every morning and getting a good night's rest in preparation for that.
Your child's school should have reached out to you with a calendar over the next 6 weeks so we can complete all of our state testing. A large part of that is that we have to have 95% of our students participate, and so it's extremely important that we have kids prepared and ready to take and do their best on those state assessments. As Sharon said, good night's rest, healthy breakfast. Our results come from the Kansas State Department of Education back to us hopefully by the end of the school year, and we'll be reaching out to you when we have those with your child's individual scores. A large part of that for us is we do look at those scores and look at additional programming that we need to offer to fill in some of the gaps that we see as a whole.
This is a perfect opportunity to talk about our next topic, which is adopting a strategic plan for Lansing USD 469. As a reminder, during our March board meeting, the board approved hiring Greenbush to lead our strategic planning process. An integral part of the process is getting community engagement and feedback in order to set our goals in the future and what we really want the district to look like.
As a part of that process, we ask you to reach out to strategic planning at usd469.net if you're interested in possibly being a part of that process. And I say possibly because we do have a limited amount of slots. The process is to look at about 100 constituents, including our teachers, including our parents, including our businesses, including our students, to be a part of our strategic planning process.
And now we'd like to give a brief update on our transportation department. For those unaware, we are required and actually reimbursed to provide busing for all families who live outside of a 2.5-mile radius of each of our school buildings.
And a big thing for me on that is that we actually provide busing that we aren't reimbursed for from the state of Kansas. We have walk zones around all of our schools, approximately a mile, but also depending on highway access. But we bus students that live outside of those walk zones that we pay for as a school district because of it's a necessary and a very important service for our community. Another service that we've provided recently is we do have a high school and middle school activity bus that are also giving rides home after some of our activities and some of our tutoring opportunities at our schools. I just need to give a quick pat on the back to Gary Mattingly, Rob McKim, Brooks Jenkins, Janine Shields, and Mr. Jim Slapper, our transportation director, for really working together to make sure that opportunity is available for our kids.
The next topic we'll be discussing is something that's taken up a lot of our time this past month. It's very important. It's hiring new administrators across the district. As many of you know, we have a new Lansing Elementary School principal, a new Lansing Intermediate School principal, a new Lansing High School principal, as well as a new Director of Special Education coming in next school year. So a big part of that was interviewing, and we have one more left this month. During our March board meeting, the board approved Dr. Jennifer Kolb as our new Lansing Elementary School principal and Mr. Martin Altieri from Fort Scott as our new Lansing Intermediate School principal.
We have completed interviews for the Director of Special Education, and we will be conducting high school interviews on March 31st. We will be bringing recommendations for those two positions to our school board in April. Interviews are very intense. I know that you've set in on those, and at times sometimes contentious because we're trying to come to consensus for some of the most important leadership decisions that we will make in our district. And we're going to give our first shout out to some of the folks that helped us with that process.
Yes, so we've had lots of people working behind the scenes to serve on our interview committees. Superintendent Wessel, Miles Aza, and myself would like to thank the following people who served on the interview committees with us.
First, for Lansing Elementary School, Christine Bastel, Cinder Donald, Nick Flynn, Holly Kane, Jessica Kowalowski, and lastly, Leandra Walker.
Yes. On our Lansing Intermediate School Committee, we had Janet Farrar, Lori Holden, Leanne Johnson, Rob McKim, and Caroline Reynolds.
And then for our Director of Special Education that we held this week, or actually last week, was Danielle Brandt, Lori Geis, Jake Hansen, Brooks Jenkins, Sandy Van Sice, and Cindy Willis.
Yes, and for our upcoming interview, which will occur on March 31st, it would be Rebecca Davis, Aaron Edwards, Christina Hoverson, Brooks Jenkins, Ann Krebs, and Glenn Rosario.
You know, a part of that selection process is we make sure that all of those names, if you don't know, they include teachers on our interview committee. They include additional admin on our interview committees, and we try to make sure that we have a good representative sample of staff and teachers and administrators on each of those. So our next shout out goes to the first two individuals recognized at our March Board of Education meeting. It's a new recognition program we talked about last month for recognition. Our selected staff member was Dr. Jennifer Cole, and the student was sophomore Justin Fields. We will normally keep these board recognitions separate from our shout outs, but we wanted to use this opportunity to reach out again to you to remind parents, staff, and community to nominate a staff member and student next month.
Yeah, so if you go to www.usd469, you can go to the Board of Education page, and on that page there are actually two links to the form where you can recognize a staff member and a student. And I usually do a push notification once a month to remind parents as well.
This concludes our March edition of the Lowdown.
Yes, it does. We will see you again in April. Thanks so much.
Thank you.